You are tuned to 24 into 7 channel of All India Radio. On every Wednesday, we bring you information on some sport in the series Know Your Sports. Today, we are going to talk about the all-brain game, the chess. And Nitish Arora is telephonically speaking to International Chess Master, Mr. Vishal Sareen.
Hello friends, today we are going to ride horses, move elephants, kill and capture, but without any blood being spilt. Some will die and reincarnate themselves. We will be in a field, but with ACs on. Well, I'm not talking about some virtual game, but yes, it's virtually the predecessor of virtual games. No war, in real, no blood loss. We are talking about chess, and we have with us, well, not in the studios, but on the other side of the phone receiver, because of the second wave of COVID, Mr. Vishal Sareen. He's an international master of chess. He has coached several well-known grandmasters and international masters in chess in his 2 decades of coaching. He's a FIDE senior chess trainer, highest title awarded for coaches by World Federation, trainer of last 3 Arjuna awardees in chess, and trainer of several Indian teams in the last 2 decades. Having played chess and achieved the title of international master himself, Vishal Sareen has hung up his boots as a player and enjoys his life as a teacher. He works as a chess trainer, writer and consultant and is one of the most prominent coaches of the country. Vishalji, welcome to Know Your Sports. And chess, well, people know chess in very different formats, very different ways. Chess as an international sport and chess as an Indian sport. Please introduce our listeners to that.
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me. Chess basically came into its present form about 300 or 400 years back when it reached Europe and, people started to take the game seriously. And they introduced some new rules which were a bit different from the way the Indian chess was played. No steep changes were made. But they introduced, for example, the rule of castling, which did not exist. And, instead of 2 moves that a pawn can move, now it's 2 moves that a pawn can move from the initial stage. But in those days, the Indian way that it was played, it was only 1 move. So I have an interesting tale to share here. Back in the 1930s, one great master, his name was Mir Sultan Khan.
Okay.
And it is said that he knew the Indian way of playing chess only and was introduced to the international laws because he was working for some Britisher, and the Britisher took him to England looking at his talent in chess. Mm-hmm. And there, Mir Sultan Khan, he defeated the then 2 best players in the world. Both of them were world champions. Called Capablanca and Alexander Alekhine. So he became like he won the Hastings Test Congress, etc. He was one of the best players, and it did not take him too long to embrace the new rules. Mir Sultan Khan was probably the first great master that India produced.
So once a sultan is always a sultan. So you can't say what is there in the name. Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. The game is laid on the table now, and all those listeners who actually do not know much about it, names of chessboard, they are also different. If we go by the traditional Indian names, we have a rook, we have a ghoda and all those. But internationally, the names are different. Can you first...
In Hindi, it used to be Hathi, Ghoda, Oot, Wazir or Raja. So denomination, we basically assign, points to them in order to, for people to understand, the value of these pieces.
Okay.
So king's value is given as infinite. If the king is checkmated, that is the end of the game, or you can call it when the king is arrested.
वो राजा हो गया. In Hindi, that is Raja. So
वो राजा हो गया.
Okay.
In English, they named it king, queen, rook, bishop, and knight.
So you have rook again in English also?
No, we don't have rook in Hindi. We had Hathi in Hindi.
Okay, we have Hathi in Hindi.
Yes, because it always moves straight. So basically, a knight, because it can jump over pieces. It is the only piece which can jump. Knight in English, ghoda in Hindi.
Okay,
it can jump. So that's why the name was given basically on their capabilities. When you see an elephant walking, it normally walks very, very straight. It's not dabbling here or there, right? In English, it is called a rook, but in Hindi, it was called a hathi.
Okay.
Of course, an elephant. And the bishop is a oot, which moves diagonally, and always stays in one particular diagonal. It can be a light color diagonal or a dark color diagonal. And the queen basically has the power of both a rook and a bishop. So after the king, I mean, if king's value is infinite, they say, but the queen is valued at 9 points in all, having the power of a bishop and a rook both. And it is given 9 points. To the rook, we assign 5 points. To the knight and bishop, we assign 3 points each. And for each of the 8 pawns, there is 1 point each assigned. So this makes the calculation part a bit easier. You know what kind of trade you are doing. If you are winning 2 rooks for a queen, for example, so you are netting yourself 10 points and you are giving away only 9. So mathematically, it makes sense. So chess is very helpful in mathematics also. They say there have been endless surveys and researches which have been going on in the past many decades. And it is proven beyond doubt that the children who play chess do significantly well in academics. They start to, think from a very early age.
It sharpens your moves actually.
It makes you a strategist. It makes you somebody who is able to anticipate what might happen. These days, chess is perceived upon as a career option, even in the minds of the parents of young children. Okay, I mean, parents are basically the opinion leaders, and in their minds also chess exists like, it can be a career option, because we have seen Viswanathan Anand, we have seen Vidit Gujarati, we have seen Koneru Hampi, I mean, we have seen so many other young stars.
You have made a very nice move. Why not? Because I'm talking to an international chess master and somebody who is training players. So I actually wanted to come to this thing only because nowadays, if you putting your children into sports or anything, ultimately parents and children themselves, they want to be very self-sufficient. How self-sufficient this game can make them? I mean, everybody cannot become an international master or everybody cannot become a ranked player, but still there is money in it wherein like they can sustain and they can become professionalist chess players.
I would say the real chess career would start only post becoming a grandmaster in chess.
Okay. And how tough is the road to the grandmaster?
No, we see, in 1987, Viswanathan Anand became the first grandmaster. Okay, and today, I mean, like 30 years or 34 years later, we have 67. And there are many more in the pipeline.
Okay.
So we've been making very rapid progress, especially in the last 15 years, I would say. So initially, obviously, there is a lull. I mean, like when there is no icon to look up to. But these are so many children are taking up chess at a very young age. There are some massive programs running. There are many schools which are supporting the players. There are many schools which have employed chess coaches as teachers, and they're training, a particular class.
Apart from being a player, you have this option also become a trainer or become a teacher, I think, and there is employability of that also.
There are several options. I mean, like, obviously, if you go on to the levels of becoming a world champion, etc., then it's a different life altogether. It is very exciting. I wouldn't rate it any less than any other sport. Okay, maybe the money part maybe still is not so much. But let me tell you, like our current world champion today, Magnus Carlsen from Norway, I think he just turned 30 last November, and his net worth, I believe, is more than 50 million euros already.
Okay.
So, which is a sizable sum for somebody who's just 30-year-old. He has given lessons to Bill Gates and to Zuckerberg. And who not?
And I guess this chess for the past few decades has also picked up as a sport which is being looked upon by the audience also. Earlier on, I think there were less and less people, and now that everything has gone virtual, it has become more popular.
Okay, in the last 1 year, I think this pandemic became some sort of a boon for chess, because people were at home and they started to look for it. Although it is very cruel to say this, given what the pandemic has turned into, but at the same time, yes, for chess, it somehow turned things around. I mean, for example, the best chess playing site in the last 15 years had about 38 million viewership.
Oh,
in the last 1 year, it crossed 50. That's a
massive jump,
rise. And this is not the only place where it happened. It happened across board. So there are millions of people now suddenly introduced to the game all over the world and enjoying the game.
And you, Mr. Vishal, somebody who has given us so many champions, what would you tell the upcoming players? What is the right time to start playing chess? How much time should be given? Because you can understand, if it is played virtually, parents do have their inhibitions that the child is totally stuck on with the machine or the laptop or the mobile. So when is the right time to start? How much time a child should be giving to it, to the virtual game and to the real playing with his peers?
Okay, about at around the age of 5 and a half is a good time to start playing and start learning the rules, etc. And see, virtual has only been happening for last 1 year, and maybe hopefully, I mean, we are just hoping that this pandemic, I mean, the second wave, once it ends, then life will be so much better. Already over the board chess has started in Europe, many countries, etc. Okay, and this obviously this virtual thing is not there to stay forever, but it will always be an integral part of it. So I would say, like, instead of assigning it to a certain number of hours, it should be assigned to learning. Like, what did I learn today?
Coming back to the game itself, there are different formats in which chess is played. Please explain the games to the listener, because there will be many who won't know.
The most popular still is the classical way of playing, which approximately a game can ideally last up to 4 to 5 hours. And that is like normally one game is played every day. For example, the candidate tournament happening, where the top 8 players of the world compete, and the winner will be playing a world championship match. That is still the most popular format. But because of this chess becoming a huge e-sport in the last 1 year, many other formats have also come. There's also something called bullet chess, which is like 1 minute each.
Okay, what is that?
Bullet chess, they call it.
How is that played?
That's one minute. So you're playing at a lightning fast speed.
Oh.
So either you run out of your 1 minute or you checkmate your opponent in that allotted 1 minute.
So the bullet game finishes in 1 minute?
2 minutes precisely, maximum.
2 minutes, 1 minute each. Okay.
1 minute each. And there are tournaments which are happening. And there is also 3 minutes game which is called Blitz, 3 minutes plus 2 seconds addition sometimes.
Okay.
Then there is obviously Rapid, which is these days has become 15 minutes plus 10 seconds per game. And then there is Classical, of course, and there are so many other variants. I mean, chess is really, there's something called Chess 960, for example, where they shuffle the pieces.
So coming to the internationally recognized game, that is the classic one only. Classics and Rapid.
No. We have world championships in Classical and Blitz. I mean, all the 3 formats.
All the 3 formats. Classic.
And world championships across board. Okay, so we have a world championship in under 10 category, as well as the real world championship, like for the senior players.
Okay. So what are the various categories in which players are playing? You said under 10, then there must be...
So it starts normally under 8, but because of the pandemic, I think last year under 8 championship they do away with, because the thing is for 8-year-old to, sit and handle a mouse alone, sitting alone on a screen, it may not be so easy. So they checked that out. But I think it will be back soon. So it's basically from under 8 the world championship starts.
Okay.
Under 8, then under 10, under 12, under 14, 16, 18, 20 and 25.
Title of the program and the series is Know Your Sports. So I need to have a glance of the rules also. Can you specify what are the rules, the timings, how the time is kept?
Yes, okay. So there is something called a chess clock in which, we ascertain as to what level of game is being played. So it's like what is the time control, these rules are specified generally before the start of any tournament or any game.
Oh, so you can have different rules for different tournaments?
The rules means timing rules is possible.
Okay, timings. Okay.
Yeah, timing can change. I mean, because, if it is a lower category tournament, so it can also be just a 60 minutes per game for each player.
Okay.
But normally at the higher level, it is always minimum 90 or 100 minutes for the 40 moves, and then they give you another 30 minutes for the remaining 20 moves, etc. Then there is also, after 30 minutes, you don't get any additional time. So you only have to keep playing in those additional 30 seconds that you get after every move you make. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated for, the time control, but the rules of the game are fairly easy. I think there are several tutorials available on YouTube also. But, a pawn moves straight, captures in diagonal, only 1 square, but it can capture. Then the king can move only 1 square at a time, and only time it can move 2 squares is when it castles. Queen can move straight as well as in diagonals. A bishop moves only in the diagonals. A knight always moves in some sort of a L shape. either way. So it's two squares straight, or horizontal or vertical, and then one square right or left, like this.
Knight also jumps over a player.
Knight is the only piece which is allowed to jump.
Is allowed to jump.
Yeah, it can jump over anything.
I don't know, because I played this game when I was very young, and I don't know whether we knew the rules. Is there something that if a particular piece moves across the board and reaches to the other end, it is revived?
Yes, okay. So if any pawn, any of the pawns reaches the end of the board, which is the 8th rank is how we call it,
Mm-hmm.
then the player whose pawn has reached that rank has a choice to convert it into any piece of his choice.
Any piece of his choice.
Other than the king. You can't have two kings.
Of course.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, other than the king, you can promote it into any piece of your choice. And you can't let it remain a pawn also. So it has to be promoted to a piece. So it can be a rook, a bishop, a knight, or a queen. Anything.
Okay. And every game ends into a result, or there are certain times there are certain deadlocks. There are draws also.
Draw is a very permanent feature of chess. Actually, draws is one of the reasons why the shorter formats became so popular. Because, chess is played between two players of equal strength. There is every chance that, a draw is a very acceptable result. And a lot of draws happen, and draw is as acceptable as anything else.
Draw is offered by the player.
A player can offer a draw. There are several ways to make a draw. There's something called a stalemate when there is actually the king is not under check, but it has no legal moves. So that's what we call a stalemate. That is also a draw. There's a draw through mutual agreement. There's a draw through, if a position repeats thrice, then a draw can be claimed. If there is a repetition of moves 3 times in a row, then also a draw can be claimed. So there are several ways to draw a game. There are theoretical draws, and as I said, there are also mutually agreed draws.
You said that in the last year, the viewership rose many folds. Yeah. So if somebody has still not taken to chess and want to watch it, what is the acceptable forum where he can watch it?
We have some fine playing chess playing servers. There's something called Chess.
Okay.
There is something called chess.com. And there are several hundreds of tutorials which are available on YouTube for free.
And the real match experience?
That if you want to watch live, the medium for chess is internet only. So there will be several sites which will be offering a lot of live commentary. I'm sure in India also many people will be doing live commentary on their own channels. Okay, so there's several ways to watch it. But the official website for the candidates is reserved by the World Chess Federation. Mm-hmm. They will also have their own live webcast as well as live commentary.
Okay. So I have, I think, virtually exhausted all my moves. So is there anything that you really want to tell my listeners? And we are actually also running short of time also.
Okay, so very quickly, I would like to sum up something about the game itself. This is really a fantastic game, especially for the young children to learn. It automatically, it helps them in many, many walks of life. I'll just quote one small example. So I've been training. I've worked with several grandmasters in the country. I've worked with 3 Arjuna awardees also, the last 3 in fact. But let me tell you, there are many others who did not become grandmasters or who did not take up chess professionally. Mm-hmm. There are several others. That number is far, far more than these professional players. Mm-hmm. But then these people, they became so efficient themselves in their own lives that they are now doing very good in life. Generally they've really grown into very smart human beings. They are into the top universities of the world. They've been offered exclusive scholarships, etc., whatnot. So basically, chess makes you smarter.
So this is coming straight from the horse's mouth. Even if you do not end up as an international grandmaster or even as a tutor of coach of chess, you still will do excellent in your life, because this is something which is going to sharpen your brain and your personality, and no matter whichever field you take in life, you will be a winner.
This is exactly, okay, you've just rephrased my words.
Right. Thank you, Vishalji, so much. Thank you so very much. Love talking to you.
It was nice talking to you.
And I hope that it's not very late in life for me to start playing this game.
No, you have the phone number of the coach now.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Pleasure.
You just heard International Chess Master Mr. Vishal Sareen in the series Know Your Sports in conversation with Nitish Arora telling us about chess. This broadcast came to you on the 24/7 channel of All India Radio Delhi. Please stand by for the next broadcast.